If you look just to the left of that razor blade, single-edge razor blade package I have stuck in there holding this jaw partially open, I added another spring and I got some silicone on it so it doesn't become unhooked from the rod. I added this spring because there wasn't enough tension on the back spring over here. Because I still got a dilemma right here as to how I'm going to make this operate. I took off the clamp that you probably seen on the previous video, but I'm going to probably have to put it back in with the eye. This goes through the eye bolt. The problem is it goes through the eye bolt and it kind of like binds a little bit, so I wanted more strength so that this jaw will not get hung open when I'm using it. So I'm going to have to, after that dries, I'm going to have to put back my arrangement that I had here because I can't figure out a better way. I've been looking, one of my YouTube friends who just recently subscribed is into ventriloquism, and he sent me a site that has quite a bit of videos on how the head sticks are made, but every single one of those are made out of wood, and this is PVC, so it's a completely different setup. Nowhere on the internet have I been able to find anything with anybody that's made one out of PVC like me. So I'm probably going to just have to do my original arrangement, which is an arrangement like this, where, see where my finger is, there'll be an eye bolt here, and down here to be another eye bolt, and this will be stretched tight across, and I just pull on this like a trigger. That's the only way I can make it do it. I can't seem to make it work with levers. I haven't done any drilling or anything. I don't want to do that. Find out that the levers aren't going to work with this arrangement. See, I'm using a much heavier rope. I'm using heavier springs because I need the return to be positive, because the weight of the jaw that's going to be put in here and all the stuff that's going on the jaw is going to weight this down quite a bit, and it might not close all the way, so I can't depend on this back spring over here closing it up properly. What I probably should have done is got a heavier duty spring for the back, but that's already done. That's all encased in here. So that is a big holdup right now on this, folks. A big holdup. And I haven't even got to the eye rod yet. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do that yet. So it's going to, like I say, that's one of the things, one of the reasons why it's going to take so very long to do this, because I have to do a lot of thinking as to how I'm going to make it, because if it doesn't work out right and I start cutting in the wrong places, I've ruined it. So I have to think many times and only cut once. So that's where I'm at right now in the project. As I get further along, we'll do more. That silicone that I just showed you, it's got to set up overnight, so we're not going to touch it today at all. And then I'll have to make this arrangement back up, and then I'll have to figure out how I'm going to get this eye rod. I got to make the eye mechanism yet. That's a big project in itself. And then I put the eye rod up, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to put it through the bottom, which is going to defeat the purpose of my little hook that I want to put in here. Because if I got this eye rod coming down here, I'm not going to be able to fasten this to the bottom of the body, the torso, because I got the eye rod coming out of here. Originally I was going to have the eye rod coming out, and coming out here, bend it up in a U shape, have it come up like this and put a ring in it, and operate it with my finger going back and forth like that. But so I got a lot of thinking to do on this. What I'll probably do is to come down with the eye rod, come out about here, and come out and bend it, and then bend it up with an eyelet in it or something that I can put my finger in and move it back and forth. So it's going to take a lot of thinking. I'm using my hand coping saw. It'd be a lot easier if I brought the electric one out, but I don't feel like doing that. We're going to cut on the outside of the line here, so that way it'll fit tight, hopefully. smooth that out, but I just want to see how it goes in there. Alright. We're gonna have to build up another shelf, like it or not. I was gonna have it sitting on here, but you can't do that because the eyes will be right down here. The eyes have got to be up higher. So we're gonna have to mount this on a separate board, and it's gonna have to be put up into here. So we got to take some more measurements and see what the eyes look like when they're sitting on that. Okay. As you notice, there's a hole in the bottom here and it's flat on here. Well, we got to take this and put this in a drill press to drill this hole all the way through. We also got to drill a hole part way into the back of each one of these so that I can have sticks coming out to turn them. But anyways, the eyes are got to be on the end of the board, kind of like almost flush to the edge of the board here, and spaced far enough apart, probably about to there. And there'll be a mechanism up here going from here to here, and there'll also be two bars coming out, one here, with another bar to turn like this, and then there'll be the stick rod, the 1/8" steel rod will come up through here. So there's going to take quite a bit of work on these. What I got to do is drill these out, and the very last thing after I get it all put together is take it apart again and paint each one of these white, and put the irises in and everything at the very end, which I haven't figured out what I'm going to do for that yet. Alright, if you notice, there's a hole in the bottom of these. When you buy these things, they have a hole. Well, it's about 3/4 the way down through, so I just continued drilling down to the other end, because that's going to be the axle where the ball is going to be riding on, so that it'll be riding probably this way with the flat up, so that it'll it'll be like an axle. So that each one of these will have a screw and a nut and washers and so forth on it. Now what I got to do next is to make a hole probably about 1/4 inch in here, in each side, one side only of each one of these wooden balls, and that's going to be for the that's so it can be turned. And we're going to probably use some dowel stock. I'm going to see what I got here on hand. What I use a lot of times when these brushes are no good, I save the sticks, and they're probably about 3/8 inch in diameter, and they make perfect dowel stock for what I'm going to be using them for. And so that's what I'll probably do. And I'll look around the shed and see if I got an old one without having to sacrifice one of these foam brushes here. But they make perfect things to be stuck in the back of the eyeball to enable the eyeball to turn with the mechanism that I'm going to put on there. Alright, I had to sacrifice one paintbrush because I couldn't find any old sticks around. So I had to cut it in half the best I can. You know, I got to work in terrible conditions here. No room for anything, no room to work. Too much junk in the shed. But anyways, each one of these will be stuck in the back of the eyeball, and it'll give me a way to turn these eyeballs, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Of course, the first thing I have to do is to drill a hole the diameter of this dowel here, so that it sticks out the back of the eyeball like that, and it goes in about probably 1/2 inch at the very most, and it'll be glued in there. Then when that's in place, there'll be a hole made right here. The other eyeball will be over here, and it'll have the same thing, and there'll be a bar going across of that aluminum stock I showed you earlier in the videos, and it'll pivot like that. You'll see as I go along. Of course, I got to set up some kind of a jig on the drill press here so that I can get a fairly straight hole in here I'll never attempt to drill that by hand. It'll never come out good, so it's got to be done in a drill press. Okay, on the internet they're showing you to make a jig up for your drill press, drilling an inch and a quarter hole or something like that. Well, the biggest hole saw I've got is 1 inch. The next one up from that is 2 1/8 for a door, making locks for doors and stuff. So I have no choice. I got to do it the Mickey Mouse way here, because I'm not going to go out and buy a set of hole saws just to do this. So it's a jig. I drilled a 1 inch hole here. This sets up like that. I took a nail and put it through there. So what I got to do is build this up with a piece of wood, build this up and secure this down. Temporarily nail it. Either that or I'll use electrical staple, one here and one here, on this, to hold this in place so that I can drill right here, so that this can be at the proper right angles, 90 degrees from this axle shaft right here. And I got to do both eyeballs the same way. So I'll come back on this video when I get this jig made up here. What I did is I made a jig, but it's not finished yet. I got to file more. I got a little round file here, and I got to file more. This is my 1 inch hole. This is the block, and it sits up in there, but it still spins. It's got to sit down onto this, and then I can secure these two ends temporarily, probably with a little board here and a little board here, to keep this thing from moving, because I'm going to be drilling with the drill press down here on that 3/8 inch dowel that I'm going to be putting into each one of these. So I got to file some more, but this is the jig. It's nothing more than 2 blocks of wood which were nailed together several years ago, and I just use them for, you know, my chop saw, to hold the wood like this, you know, level when I'm doing my chop saw work. So I figured, why not, and I can still use it that way because these are cut flush. So this is my little jig, and I got to finish it, and I'll get back on this when I get these drilled out. What I did is I put a staple here and a staple here, and to keep this thing from rolling, I had to put some masking tape and put the sticky side up, because I had the sticky side down on the wood and it slid more. If I had the right hole saw, this thing could drop into a well, but I don't have anything in between 1 inch and 2 1/8 inch, so I have to do it with what materials I have. So now what I'm going to do is put this in the drill press, but I got to establish, I'm pretty sure it's 3/8 of an inch, and then I got to get the center line that's going to be with this axle here, and make sure that I get the center of this, and to make sure that I'm not too far over here or too far over there. Remember, I've never done this before, so this is all going to be new to me. Okay, now I'm going to put this in the drill press and drill it out. I won't put that on video. And I'm going to do the same with the other ones, which means I have to remove these staples. And this is a number 12 nail, and I just cut the head off of it and made the grooves in here so that it sits. Now see, that should be pretty solid when I put it into the drill press. If it screws up, I got to go and buy another wooden dowel head. Alright, I had a 3/8 inch drill, so I had to scrape it down with a razor blade, because these are just a little bit over 3/8. But rather than to try to get a drill bit to go in here and risk being too loose, I figured I'll shave these down. So that's what I'm going to do. Shave them down a little bit. You don't need much, just a little bit. And I'm all out of carpenter's wood glue, so I have to go in the house and get the old Elmer's glue off. But this should be good enough for that, so I'm going to put some glue on that and put that together. That should go right in there. Put a little bit of glue on the shaft here. Don't need much. Don't need much, and we'll just push it So that's one. The hardest thing is going to be how straight are these going to be when I get them done. I know that it ain't going to be too straight, not the way I do things. We'll do the other one now. Well, that's the best I can do. One's a little higher than the other, but they're sitting right on their flat sides here. The best I can do. So there'll be a bar going from here to here, and I'll turn these things in unison. I'll let that dry, and after that we get the mechanism all made up and everything. Then painting these is the very last thing I do.